What is up, all you gamers? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the Esports Rewind podcast. This might be the best podcast we probably have ever had because we both had too many drinks last night.
So we are functioning at full capacity. I have to say 110%.
Yeah, we got some crazy stories to break down, and you got two analytical minds who are ready to do it. We hope you guys all enjoy. Let's get into it. And I thought, why not start this episode out by talking about one of the most dramatic stories we've had in a long time, 100,000 tweets over the weekend about this instance, which brought North America and Europe and Brazil and all the regions in Valorant kind of not really together. I don't know where I was going with that one. It's off to a great start because we have Zombs challenging an entire region as he says that all of Brazil is a crap region. He did not use the word crap. And all of this following some tech pause drama, death threats being sent. To give you a little bit of background as well, this kind of started with Sentinels versus Furia. Furia was seemingly on a momentous run to maybe take that series. All of a sudden, a tech pause came out of nowhere, and that momentum shifted. Sentinels go on to win that series, and supposedly, Tens goes on to explain why that tech pause did occur. It was Riot who made the tech pause, not Sentinels. That did not stop some fans or some people out there to send death threats to Sentinels, which they are no stranger to. And that eventually led to Shazam making a tech pause joke. Brazilians getting upset by that, which eventually Zombs just responds to and says, I can't wait to beat your crap region again.
I don't. I think Zombs just came out of left field with this because we had Shazam who was tweeting a joke and even responded. I forget who the other player was that was involved that responded to Shazam. And he's like, man, it was just a joke. We're just trying to have a good time and like put some entertainment, which we talk about a lot. It makes sense for the esports scene. It adds some spice, adds some flavor. Obviously, a little bit of trash talk is going to do the scene good. And then that guy got really pissed about it. And then Zombs comes out of left field and just like calls out the whole region. It's like, we're going to beat your crap region.
And I just want to know where the Sentinels guys were at this moment. Were they all together? Were they all in their rooms separately? Was Zombs a couple brews in? He's like, you know what? I'm going to stir some stuff up today because that is what sparked what I said. It was 100,000 tweets. The last time that they took it off trending was about 95,000 tweets all around this instance. So Sentinels, and you got to keep in mind too, Sentinels are very much a team who complains. They make jokes, they jab, and they do these things all the time. I think Dapper even mentioned what G2. So in response to all this, Dapper then kind of threw us all back to when G2 had a plane rented that said F Sentinels. And so people, this all kind of sparked a debate. What do you guys think of, was that too far? And does this deserve punishment? Or was it just a joke and some grade A trash talk?
I have to say, I imagine they were probably in the same room, Shazam and Zombs, and they're just like both on their phone. And Shazam sees Zombs tweet and he's just like, it's like, bro.
Shazam's typing up an explanation that actually makes sense. Like, you know, like, hey man, we're just joking. Like he almost backsteps a little bit like, hey, all right, I understand where you're coming from. And then Zombs tweets.
Just like giggling to himself. Just like tweets
what
out.
the frick did you just do? Oh, man.
I think though what you were saying, I think it ended up getting taken way too far by the community, ended up being the problem. Because I don't think they're being serious. Like, you know, I don't think anyone's trying to call anyone out. It'd be like
there's no serious malintent. Like
yes.
Zombs is a grade A troll. Now there's going to be people that don't know that. So
right. And so it's difficult, and it got taken way too far. People were saying they were racist. Different players were getting called racist for like hating Brazil, and it just was not that deep. People took it too far. I don't think we're going to see any sort of apology from Zombs.
Yeah, he kept on going.
Right.
If you guys have not seen any of this, he actually was responding to a lot of people. He eventually tweeted Vamos Brazil or something to that regard later on because he actually screenshotted all of the tweets about the situation. Mm-hmm. He was like, oh, you know, can't wait to play again. Vamos Sentinels, I think is what he said. Obviously a play on, you know, speaking the Brazilian language. So it's I don't know, man. Like the people that there were even, and this goes, there's a lot of length here. There were CSGO pros, there were co-CEOs. Co-CEO of Furia came out and said this should be punished. And there were responses out there that showcased in the rule book, there is a rule for vulgar or hateful speech. Now, I don't know how Riot enacts that because we have not, for as far as I'm aware, between players and teams, we haven't seen anyone trash talk. We saw I think it was at Berlin or some other land where we saw players going at it in trash talk where people were like, whoa, I don't think Riot's ever issued that punishment yet to a player saying these kind of things. We've also never had a player call an entire region crap that's blown up like this.
I don't think they can. I think with the amount of jokes, especially it being Riot, that we have every single year calling NA the worst region of all time in League of Legends, and people have been very direct about that, it's going to be difficult to enforce something like this and not have some weird double standard that gets called out at a certain point. And so I think they're better off just letting this trash talk be trash talk between players.
Yeah, and there's been so much going on at Valorant Champs as well, with the COVID scares, with other Vivo Key drama, with some cam exploits, which versus Ascent, that got super heated. So, at the end of the day, what do you guys think about the situation? It is obviously very complicated. I think we're pretty easygoing and see that it was a joke. And I think if you guys want something to end on, go look at Fallen's tweets about the situation, because Fallen has always been a great middleman between, everyone else and the Brazilian space of kind of trying to, find a better situation of going forward. How can we learn from this? So it certainly was very dramatic, and Zombs and Sentinels certainly have become public enemy number one, probably for the Brazilian fan base, which does make Valorant Champs and the rest of it very interesting. What did you guys think about it? A follow-up from last week, guys. It got a bit juicier. I'm glad we actually saw a response out there. Thanks to all of you guys who actually send us clips, because I think it's crazy. All the news stories we probably miss because you don't always have someone watching every single stream out there. Right. And people probably say some pretty crazy stuff that never gets clipped.
Right, like not the biggest streamers, but there's like mid-size and even smaller streamers that probably have some incredible clips or like rants about things. Yeah. And we have no one.
And they just go poof. But one of those guys who does get watched all the time, that's going to be Doc. Follow up from last week where it was actually a lot of his fans, his viewers, calling out the Esports Awards. If you guys missed that story, we did cover it, where his team, he actually won Creative Team of the Year, Alex Productions. Congrats to him. He was also nominated for Streamer of the Year. And it was very weird, I will say. I wasn't, calling out Esports Awards. It was actually all the fans and viewers out there, because I didn't notice it in the moment. But you look back at the video where they show for the nominees, and Doc is the only person that they do not show his face, and they mute his audio. Everyone else, ByeBye, Courage, and all the big name streamers out there that were nominated during that same video, they either have their voice played or a clip of them reacting on stream. Doc is the only one. You don't see his face and you don't hear his voice, which obviously is quite odd.
Esports Awards. Why would I get Esports Awards? Listen, I'm not gonna. We had a good run with Esports Awards. After this last one, at this point, just don't even mention the doc. Okay, don't even throw me up on any social medias. Don't do anything. Right? The first year, not dropping me completely, and then this year, that little. Just don't even involve me whatsoever. The credibility for me, it's.
Of course, people, I have to say it because everyone else will. Purple Snakes getting involved in this had to have some sort of effect on it. But now the juice is that we've now seen Doc directly call them out and go even further, as far as I'm aware, and say, hey, I'm not going to be involved. Don't show me on screen. Like, don't say my name. Don't have anything to do with me anymore.
Yeah, classic Doc fashion of not just a response, but also throwing some extra spice in there as well. If you guys did miss this clip, yes, Doc has now officially responded. He kind of kept it quite short, but he did say a lot in those short moments of, hey, yeah, like not going to elaborate too much, but I don't want to be involved with the Esports Awards going forward. Like you said, name, image, likeness not used, which is a really crazy statement. We later posted this on Twitter and got some responses from Esports Awards, which it's a weird boat to be in for sure, because Doc is certainly, and his team have won awards, could very well in the future. And for me, it obviously comes down to the Esports Awards are live streamed on Twitch. So very clearly they were apparently communicated to, hey, you can't show him, you can't play his voice. For me, it's weird because we've had so many streamers on Twitch show Doc or cosplay Doc or play his songs. It's really weird that the Esports Awards would not have been allowed to show him for 2 seconds. I mean, literally every nominee clip was 2 seconds, if not less.
I think it makes sense, though, as far as I think both their decisions will make sense in the long run. Like, Doc, if I'm Doc, I don't want to be on it. If you can't show me, then just don't include me. Like, I'm fine. I understand. But if you're Esports Awards and you're on Twitch and Twitch is telling you not to do it, even if it's just for a couple seconds, like, you're not going to risk it all for one creator.
That's a really good take. I mean, you are the Esports Awards. There are so many freaking people you got to cover, so why risk it all for one? Yeah, I think you understand where both sides are coming from. Both sides have good reasons for what they probably did, and Doc's certainly unhappy about that, wants to cut ties with the Esports Awards. And some Apex drama over this past weekend stemming from some team issues we've talked about previously. That's going to be 100 Thieves member NiceWigg throwing out some tweets as ALGS does continue, but maybe not for NiceWigg for a time being.
So we have a team. We have Timmy, we have a Prize, and we have NiceWigg. They had to take a week off because of some issues with NiceWigg. Gets kind of crazy. They get suspended for the rest of that ALGS season because of it. That's the ruling. Hey, you missed a week. You can't play the rest of the time. That's how the rulings go. But we see them throw a bit of a fit because we have another team who ended up quitting. They quit, and then their players go join other rosters, and they can compete. And that's kind of what I'm interested in getting your take on first, is that ruling is something that NiceWigg was pissed about. It's, hey, we can't compete even though we want to. We didn't quit. We had to take a week off, and we get suspended. But these other guys who just quit, disband, can join other rosters and compete still.
Yeah, I think unless you're heavily involved in the space, and I'm not, it's hard because I'm trying to compare it to other scenes out there. And I really can't come up with a comparison of, wow, okay, where's this a thing where this is not okay? I think back to like ESL Pro League for CSGO of like, okay, does a spot go to the team or does it go to the players? And now CSGO's RMR system is if you make roster changes, you're deducted points.
Right.
But roster changes, okay. I can't really think of a situation. So this seems very subjective and very, very it really depends what the ruling is, and it's going to be very subjective based on, I guess, every season.
I think that's fair. It's interesting too because this is a different kind of scene than a lot of those other esports where the rosters are more serious. I'll say, like when you're in like a Warzone squad or an Apex squad, you're not necessarily a solid roster all the time. But with AOGS, you have your 3 that you start each season with on your team.
Yeah.
And so the ruling, we ended up getting a Respawn guy to respond to Wig in one of these threads. He was like, hey, all you guys had to do for that 1 week, like we understand that NiceWigg couldn't play, but the ruling is 2 out of 3 of your players have to play every week of your starting roster.
Gotcha, okay.
And so you guys could have fielded anyone for your third for that 1 week.
And you could have sucked, but you would have kept your spot.
Exactly.
Is the idea here being that they took a spot from a different team and then missed? And so there's got to be a punishment for that?
Well, I don't even know if punishment is the right word. It's just like, I think it's a degree of accountability. So if your team misses a week and doesn't like field a sub, like it shouldn't be that hard to field a sub, you know, if you want to. And so they miss a week, a team can't play because they have a spot. Therefore, hey, we're not going to let you play the rest of the season because it doesn't make sense if you're taking spots and not playing.
Yeah, I guess for me, it just, again, I'm not heavily involved, but outside looking in, it's like, it's a pretty severe punishment for missing a week, but it does keep you honest and keep you wanting to participate. It's unfortunate circumstances of why they missed though as well, and maybe not being fully aware of the rules of just they should have fielded too.
It seemed like there was a bit of a miscommunication there, but he also, NiceWigg was like, hey, I'm fine with being suspended, honestly. I get that ruling. My main issue is that people who quit are allowed to join other rosters and compete separately still, which to me, I'm like, well, if you really want to compete in the season, then you guys should just quit and join other rosters or something like that and then come back together next season. So it is complicated. He ended up apologizing later on. He got into some beef with Designful G2, a G2 player, and they just went back and forth. He was calling him a high school bully and like all this crazy stuff. And so NiceWigg did apologize, and I do respect him for that because a lot of people just don't apologize in these situations. I don't think anyone was calling for it. He's like, hey, sometimes I feel like everyone's just against me. I'm trying to work on it, and like I'm fine with the rulings. And so I just thought the whole topic was interesting as far as how teams ended up getting suspended or not suspended.
Yeah, and certainly subjective to Apex, and we'll see if maybe going forward for ALGS, if there are any rule changes based off their remarks. Last week, a lot went down in the YouTube and Twitch space. We saw Ludwig get up and leave Twitch and make the switch to YouTube, all based on a coin flip and a pretty crazy story at that. I would say, production-wise, definitely one of our bigger announcements so far for streamers who continue to move to YouTube. This saw a lot of responses. I know you covered a few of them. Pretty much when any platform move happens now, we see every single big streamer talk about Twitch and what they're doing right or wrong, or YouTube and what they're doing right or wrong, and which one is somehow better. Now with this, we actually had Moist Critical talk about xQc. Currently, I would say by a lot of eyes out there, by far your #1 Twitch streamer across any game he wants to play, diehard audience. I think he carries a lot of weight over there at Twitch. And he says that Twitch would not fight to keep xQc.
Even if xQc tomorrow announced that he was the next one leaving, I don't know if he is or anything like that. But if he announced that he was leaving tomorrow, Twitch wouldn't fight for him. They wouldn't care. They'd actually probably be relieved because they probably look at him as a brand risk. They have banned that guy 30 times or some shit by now. They would not care.
which we saw a lot of responses from, and we saw Pokey respond to that and disagree. We also saw Shroud say some things about xQc as well.
He has
Look at
more
Sean.
subs, bro. He has more subs in your chat than you have subs total.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is fucking
Yeah.
bananas.
Absolutely. Doesn't he have like 100 and
Like
something
right
thousand
now,
subs?
right
really?
now,
Oh.
right now, he has more subs in your chat than you have subs total.
Mm-hmm.
What is he? Is 85,000.
Yeah, he was at like 100 and something not too long ago.
That is
Insane.
He's the fucking
Bananas.
kingpin, baby.
Shroud and Pokimane. I think we'll start with Pokimane. She went into a decent amount of depth that I think I agree with, because we saw Twitch, of course, commit to Nick Merckx, who I think is a great example of a
They
streamer.
committed. Sorry to cut you
No,
off.
you're
they
good.
went in for Nick.
Right. And so they spent a lot of money, and that makes sense for someone like Nick, because we've seen him play multiple different games and carry viewership. xQc does that to an even larger degree, where it does not matter what xQc does. He will pull tens of thousands of viewers on anything. And so that was Pokey's point of like, hey, the fact that he's on this platform and what he kind of stands for with that and the viewership he can pull, no matter what he does, has to be valuable to Twitch. Like, they can't ignore that. Versus certain other people maybe don't have that same exact draw, so they're not going to cash out for them. But big people like Nick and xQc, I think they will.
Yeah, but I think you could also make the argument of Tim does very well across multiple games, just like Nick has. I mean, Tim literally is known for the kind of famous phrase of "that game made you," because no game has made Tim. He's gone from TF2 to Overwatch to CSGO to Warzone to I'm sure Apex for a time, whatever he wants to play, and now probably going to be bouncing back and forth Warzone, Halo, whatever the frick, and he still gets great viewership even on a different platform. So it kind of makes you wonder, what do we not know? Because did Twitch shell out too much for Nick? So they are waiting for, okay, we can't really shell out for Tim. We'll let him go, but we'll keep Nick, and then maybe we fight for xQc. There's probably a lot of things that we don't know. But Shroud, whenever Shroud gets a chance to talk about xQc, it's kind of a weird crossover for me. He goes on to say that xQc is the kingpin of Twitch?
Right, which is insane. I mean, xQc obviously has interacted with everyone at this point, but to see someone, for me, I'm like, oh, Shroud? Like, that's a high compliment, I feel like, I feel like that must be awesome. Both former pros now turned massive streamers who have done like really well for themselves. So I feel like it's a really great compliment coming from someone like Shroud, but weird because Shroud is also the guy who we've now seen clips of him being like, yeah, I don't care anymore. Like, I don't care about anything. I haven't looked at my subs in forever, or like
what bag did I get? I don't really care.
Exactly. So like, he doesn't care, but he also, it's a degree of like real recognize real, I feel like, in this situation. But to your points, I think it's interesting to see who they sign and who they don't. We know Twitch is minded towards, kind of what categories they're covering and making sure their bases are covered, but not having too many people on each base. And so, for example, obviously I'm thinking of Disguised Toast, and throwback to when he was like, oh, we had Faker, so they didn't need Disguised Toast. So in their mind, they're just trying to, cover their bases. And so they didn't need Tim and Nick. They just needed Nick.
Yeah.
And so maybe they just need xQc. They didn't need Ludwig or Hassan or whoever else. Obviously, xQc is a little different than those guys. But, they only need certain ones. And so I imagine, he's the king of Twitch. According to Shroud, Pokimane thinks that Twitch needs him and that they value him a lot. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he sticks around.
Yeah. So the general question for all of you guys is, where do you fall on this? Do you think Twitch needs xQc? Most importantly, do you think that Twitch would go out of their way to keep him? I'm actually leaning towards yes, because I really do think that if all of a sudden you lose X, and I don't think he wants to leave, but what do we know, right? I do think that Twitch would go out of the way because he is the linchpin. He's the top dog on Twitch.
I think he is set. The more I think about it, he is Twitch culture. His chat has set Twitch culture,
for better or worse.
And they dominate LSF, obviously. Yeah. But where do things like L and W and Poggers and all these things
get said the most?
They originate from his chat. Like, that's where it all happens, and that goes across all of Twitch, all of Twitter, all of Reddit. And so it's interesting. I feel like someone that sets the culture to that degree would be important to keep around.
Yeah, certainly so. Very lastly, for all you viewers out there, I got to throw some CSGO news in there because I'm desperate and we need some good news out there this week. No drama around this one, really, I don't think, unless someone made some up. That's going to be Pasha Biceps from the CSGO scene, formerly of CSGO, now with Team Liquid, doing a lot of great things, has his own CSGO school as well. So a lot of great things going on for Pasha Biceps. Announced this past weekend, though, for the High League, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's actually, I believe, a Russian fighting league. It's some fighting league out there, which have now announced Pasha Biceps will be entering combat sports, and with his official opponent actually to be announced today as of recording, which is going to be Monday. Are you going to show me this picture? You've been throwing me off.
I know. I'm sorry. And I know Pete will put this picture up, but I mean, just look at
You
this.
can even show
That's what I'm going to just
like-
look at this man.
Like, what the frick? And sorry if you threw me off. Either way, it's a fighting league. He's going to enter combat esports while being a former CSGO pro. And I'm like, when I saw this, what the frick is life anymore? Like, what are we talking about?
Imagine fighting in a Russian fighting scene, combat sports. The only person you could think of that would do that is Pasha. I feel like.
Yeah, you can't like that. This is breaking all the gamer stereotypes ever made. Like, especially the way. I mean, I didn't know it was possible to look like that.
I think it's taking what we've seen to the next level where people are like, oh yeah, let's box. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna phase whoever is gonna box whoever, and like all this celebrity boxing matches, and Pasha's just like. Just going straight for combat
His
sports.
opponent is Logan Paul, actually. No, the thing is, I hope he got paid, but he's not being paid what the freaking YouTube boxers are, and he's like, I just want to fight. Like,
Yeah.
I cannot wait for the broadcast. Hopefully, we can play some clips. I'm not sure if that's going to be allowed for copyright, but it's going to be very fun to see because, again, the day before this went live, his opponent should be announced, so it should be fun. He fights in February, and I think a lot of us are going to tune in to see how Pasha does. And I hope that he doesn't go up against like some bear of a man over there in Russia. Like he goes up against a 6'7", 270 guy, and Pasha just gets dunked on. So I hope he does well.
I have to imagine this will affect the esports scene to a degree too, because then imagine you ever come up against Pasha or a team that he is on or something like that, and like how do you look that man in the eyes after that? I don't know. Like
all of a sudden, like Navi starts signing fighters,
right?
just to match up against Pasha.
I don't know how that would play out, but like I wouldn't trash talk him anymore. So
No, I don't think I would in the first place. So Pasha Biceps, former CSGO pro, still with Liquid, and now entering combat sports. As per usual, hope you guys all enjoy the Esports Rewind. Yes, we are so sorry that we struggled through just about every one of those topics, but they were freaking fun ones. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And until next time,
hydrate a lot. Just drink a lot of water and just rejuvenate yourselves.
Advil.
Because we're going to be drinking a lot.
Drinking. We drunk.
Bye.